This is your time, Noles fans. Let's get it. Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern time right here at the Voice of College Football, FSU, taking your comments and questions. So bring them on in. You know what the deal is here. So there is college football news going on all the time like no other time in the history of college football, mostly because of NIL and the transfer portal, but still the dead period. And we're looking forward to spring camp coming up here very soon. And looking forward to getting some video and getting some news out of spring ball. But that's still a couple weeks away. So we need your comments, your questions. You spur on the conversation tonight right here at the Voice of College Football, Florida State style, and bring it. Logan's here, of course, from Knoll Game Day. How's it going?
Good evening. Doing fantastic. We're getting only less than 2 weeks from some actual spring football going on. We actually get to go visit Tour of Duty in about a week from now and be in person for that in less than a week. So looking forward to slowly but surely getting back to a little bit of football, even if it's spring. I'm all about it. Good weather here. Usually in Tallahassee, it's usually the prettiest time of the year with the springs. So we got that and we got football. The sun has been out 3 days in a row. So good vibes. Feeling like Florida again.
Nice.
It's nice.
We got the schedule ticker down at the bottom of the screen, so get hyped up for a little Duquesne, and then, of course, the big one against LSU. But a lot to sort out before that, for sure, and a lot to get ready and to get set. So, again, leave your comments and your questions here. Keep in mind that you can talk Florida State football and Florida State sports all the time on the Discord there on Knoll Game Day. So what's the best way to find the Discord and jump on and get that revved up?
We've been throwing a few recruiting things in there now with this March 5th, this big time visit weekend happening on March 5th. We've been throwing a few nuggets here and there along with the visitor list that we're updating daily. Dustin's doing a great job for that. It's at patreon.com/KnollGameDay. And actually, really, you can go over to our YouTube page on here and keep the video playing here. But if you go to our YouTube, you'll be able to go into some of the videos and descriptions there. We have the Discord link that you can free to join now. So you can either sign up and get some nuggets and pay a little bit, or you can just jump in and hop in and chat and talk about some live games going on or recruiting, basketball, NBA, NFL, everything. So looking for that's going to start jumping up a lot more in the next couple of weeks as spring gets started, and a lot of good scoop usually comes out from spring on who's highlighting transfers, young guys, who's leaders, who's wearing the black jerseys, practices, which we'll be going to attend. We've also got a luncheon coming up soon with the coaching staff that will be in attendance for. So a lot of good stuff coming, but definitely if you want to sign up, patreon.com/KnollGameDay.
As of Tuesday, Logan, we started our Discord here at the Voice of College Football. So I will say this. Let's get this straight. If you just want to talk Florida State football, you got to go to Logan's and Knoll Game Day's Discord if you want to talk Florida State football. Of course, Voice of College Football, we take in all the fan bases and so forth. We've set up channels for every conference. So we've got about 20 people signed up here since Tuesday. Let's see, that was just yesterday. So we've got a good little crowd started. So jump on in, and what you do is you do the same thing. You go to Patreon and you search MarkRogersTV and you sign up right there, and we get you your Discord link, and you're all set to jump in on Discord. But again, Florida State fans, first and foremost place to be, Discord on Knoll Game Day, definitely. When did Knoll Game Day, when did you guys get that thing started?
Back in 2013, actually. That was a good year to start it. Yeah, that was the perfect year to start it, was 2013, whenever they won the national championship. I was just posting about Florida State football and even basketball a little bit, and it blew up on Facebook and then moved over to Twitter. And a lot of people then weren't using graphics. They weren't making graphics. They weren't using a lot of media, which is crazy to think of. It was really just tweets. But now a majority of tweets have some kind of media, video, graphics, something of some sort nowadays. But back then, nobody was really doing that, and we kind of got creative, and it grew like 13,000. I think it was like 13.4 thousand followers in 1 year because of that national championship. So not a bad year to start, I will say, if we had to pick one. Nowadays, it's hard. It's hard to grow. It's hard. But when fans are extremely happy, definitely a year like that, they'll follow you. It's easy money to grab a follow then.
Good timing. Good timing. That's the way to do it right there.
Mm-hmm.
D-Rock Irish, he's 4 for 4 today with us. Ohio State, Oklahoma, Michigan, now Florida State. Absolutely. Appreciate you being here, D-Rock Irish.
4 for 4. Okay. Dang, and he's going to be here for the Miami one, you think?
Oh, he'll jump on for that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's going to do 5 for 5, D-Rock Irish. John wants to know if you were in middle school in 2013.
That was close to it. I think I was a freshman going into being a sophomore. That fall, I believe I was a sophomore in high school then. And my football coach used to get mad at me. I had to do up downs before I left and flew to Dallas to go to the Oklahoma State game in 2014. That's one of the things I remember. And he told me I needed to do up downs in Dallas whenever I landed, and I didn't really do those. So I did feel bad leaving teammates because I do think we had a jamboree game that week. But sorry, coach. I thought I was trying to live the dream a little bit, and so far it's worked a little bit.
Absolutely, it has. It's a very cool story.
That is fun. Long ways to go.
Yeah, I can say the same thing here.
Yep.
Shine Life says, I love Florida State, but I have news for all of you. We will never spend the money to get back on top ever again. So he's got to be talking about NIL. So it's a different world today than it was a year ago with NIL.
Yep.
And we can only know what's going on out there in regards to money that's getting thrown around, but we know that it's being thrown around. I would like college football to come to a place where they penalize schools and NIL partners for being in contact with players about NIL deals before they actually sign and enroll at a school. I would like that decision to at least be what it's been throughout the history of college football for the most part. That's what I would like to see. Now, players are still going to know where the NIL deals are, but in terms of there being that official contact with an NIL suitor and a school about NIL, I would like to see that put off until they're actually, again, enrolled and playing at a school, much like they can't contact an agent and have interactions with an agent until they've declared for the NFL draft and they're no longer eligible in college. But what he's talking to, and I know this is a difficult thing to answer, but you've got as good a read on it as anybody else, because we talk about it on here even before NIL when it came down to the Willie Taggart buyout situation and the amount of money that these schools are willing to put up for a buyout situation, and now for NIL deals coming in, there's this conversation out there that Florida State obviously has a ton of money compared to most, but in keeping up with the elite of college football, that there may not be the level of money there that there is with some other schools.
Yeah, Florida State's going to always kind of almost feel behind, but they're not entirely behind. I mean, they've got money. I do like with Alfred coming in as an athletic director. I think he's the right mindset. If you are pro football and you want to see good things happen, there's already multiple things that Florida State is working on, including renovating a locker room that will be big and helpful for recruiting. They're working on the football-only facility that they're hoping to break ground sooner than later than if they would have had Coburn still as AD. Alfred's really pushing and moving things a lot stronger and faster, not only for football and the other programs that are great, definitely in women's sports. So, if it is NIL related, I mean, Florida State is definitely working on trying to get a website built. I know they're calling it the Rising Spear. Luckily, been able to talk with them a few times here and there and kind of get an update. We're hopeful to have Bob Davis on our podcast soon to be able to discuss it and maybe answer some questions, because I think there's a lot of question marks regarding NIL, and not only that, with the Rising Spear of Florida State, but just overall the college football world. It's different, and some states are lagging behind. Florida has a whole lot of problems too that they need to fix and flatten out to make things make sense. And because I think some of these players have agents who I've been able to speak with, and one of the biggest things is really working alongside, working with Florida State or a program, and then also with the state laws, the laws, legislation, everything. It's definitely tough and definitely trademark. And I know, like earlier this week, we saw Trayshawn Ward, who launched his clothing line, and one of the biggest question marks. And I got to speak with the representative of him and helping him market that clothing line. He said the problem is really working with Florida State and trying to figure out what it's trademarked. What can I go with? Can I have help from their side? Everybody's in kind of a difficult spot. So, yeah, it's in a tough spot right now. Just Florida overall, not just Florida State, but it's playing a factor on every school in the state of Florida.
Yeah, because there are no rules when it comes to the colleges, the universities, the conferences, the NCAA themselves, but there are state guidelines that deal with that sort of thing. So that's pretty much what they're dealing with based on my understanding of it right now. Now it's up to the NCAA to take some kind of leadership role, I guess. They
Yeah.
would be the ones, even though they've got less power than they've ever had, but they would still be the ones to take some type of leadership role in regards to trying to figure out. And it's complicated, so I'm not jumping on the NCAA, but somebody needed to get out in front of this, because once you let it ride for this long, and we're pushing a year now, it's tough to pull the reins in and stop things from happening that are already going on.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there.
Mm-hmm.
Logan, a couple comments coming in the chat. One from William here concerning your newly promoted offensive coordinator, of course, Alex Adkins, who's taken over for Kenny Dillingham off to Oregon, and whether these rumors about Adkins going to Georgia are possible.
Yeah, this kind of feels like another Woodson thing. Coach Woodson, Marcus Woodson, obviously coming from Auburn to Florida State, was reeling in Travis Hunter. Things didn't work out there, and I don't really fully put this on Woodson. I mean, Hunter got a big bag, but there was maybe some rumors that maybe, Georgia would look at Woodson coming in. I never heard anything of it then. And then I also am not hearing really much right now. Dustin, our guy, put in a few things this morning where, he was telling everybody, he told our Discord members that there was a contact made. Just on my side of things, I don't think Atkins would kind of reverse his role as being promoted to a co-offensive coordinator. He has a bright future of becoming a head coach somewhere. And he is going to be a head coach in the near future. But with Atkins, I think he still wants to learn under Mike Norvell. This will be an opportunity for him to move up in the level of getting that playbook down. He's going to be really alongside Coach Norvell more than ever, because Kenny Dillingham really played a really strong co-offensive coordinator role. Atkins is really going to come in and learn and be side by side with Norvell, who I think is really has a rich mind on the offensive side of the ball. And I still think Atkins, if I were to say right now on Wednesday at 6:18, I still think Florida State is able to keep Atkins in Tallahassee. I think Georgia has a few other names out there. I don't think maybe he was that high up on the list, but Atkins, he's getting his name out there because he's well respected, and there's been progress on that offensive line. It's hard to, last season had his ups and downs, but really, I mean, look at the pieces that they had, the damage that they had. I mean, multiple guys hurt, numerous. Sometimes the entire front five was hurt. So what he's been able to do on the field, along with recruiting, sometimes going into a different position group and landing guys and helping that happen, along with Armella on what felt like a travesty of an early signing day. Atkins went in there and really worked on getting that sealed up and making sure they got a blue chip offensive tackle. So Coach Atkins, well respected, but I still think right now, as of Wednesday evening, he'll stay in Garnet and Gold here in Tallahassee.
So every head coach across the nation, just about every head coach, you can either point to offense or defense as being their calling card. And the reason why they were able to get a top job in college football. And obviously with Mike Norvell, it's on the offensive side of the ball. So what you're telling us is that Adkins is going to grow into this role, and basically the offense we're going to see on the field is going to be Mike Norvell. I don't want to say completely calling the shots, but it's going to be his offense working with Alex Adkins to kind of develop and groom him into the role.
Yeah, no, that's what I feel like it's going to be happening. Really, this is a great learning experience for not only Atkins, also Tokar's jumps in there a bit more with being the quarterback's coach, but he's really going to dial in and get this offense learned. And what Norvell is known to do is put guys, bring them in for just a few years and send them out, and they get a bigger bag, and that salary goes up. And he's building his coaching tree left and right. I mean, I think it's been over 5 guys over the offseason where he's been able to see his former coaches, his former assistants go grab jobs, better jobs, bigger jobs. But right now I do think Coach Atkins stays in Tallahassee. He's a vital piece to Florida State staff. I'd say the most important piece to Florida State right now, and what he can do on the field and progression wise, what he did in the recruiting year, having one of the best offensive line classes coming in. And then just recruiting overall, jumping into where maybe some other assistant coaches are struggling, being able to help alongside them with a few players from some things that we've heard. Coach Atkins he's not going to be in Tallahassee for long, but you really this year you want to have him in Tallahassee, and I think he knows that too. I don't see him stepping backwards. He's got a great offensive line class coming in. I just don't see him being a guy that dips out to regress in his role.
Logan, you mentioned Trayshawn Ward's clothing line and NIL deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, as far as you know, roughly how many guys on the roster have NIL deals? And do you have any idea what those deals look like? And both in terms of money and also in terms of, what are they? How do we see them on social media or out in public?
Yeah, so the biggest thing right now is we're seeing a lot of merch. Some guys were kind of doing that thing a little while back, but now it seems to be okay. I mean, it's now NIL, so they can take full advantage of it. So we get to see the merch. You got to see the clothing lines. I know Amari Gaynor is doing something a lot with NFT, the kind of crypto side of things. You're seeing it too. Virtual reality, where he's building kind of his own house. I think it's College Coins, a little project that's going on right now where they're kind of building a metaverse, a world, and it's kind of a neighborhood, and each player is building their own house. And I got to say, Amari's house did look pretty dope compared to the other guys. He was pretty creative on it, but, Amari's done a good job of kind of staying ahead on the trends of technology and doing the crypto, doing the NFT, doing the metaverse stuff. So you could see him doing that. Like we just talked about Trayshawn. He's launched that. And then you look at Dylan Gibbons, who came from Notre Dame, offensive lineman, where he's put it to a great cause. He's partnered with GoFundMe. GoFundMe picked him up an NIL deal, and he's done a great job in a lot of different ways. And so I think this is just a learning thing, because a lot of these players, I'm interested to see as it goes on how much time is going to be allocated to building a brand, because that's not easy. You're going to have to spend a lot of time after classes and practice and film and games on Saturdays and the weekend and traveling to build that brand, or you're going to have to find help, which some guys are doing. Some guys are doing it solo dolo. It's just really, I worry about the players and some of the people that are contacting them, and it's just tricky. And I hope that the programs are helping some of these players out and being like, yo, we got to watch out for some of these DMs that are being sent where, send me this, I'll do this for you, and all this kind of stuff. I think there's going to be a lot of some players getting screwed over, but that's just college football as a whole, not just Florida State. But it's a whole learning thing for us right now, Mark, isn't it?
Yeah, and what's also a good learning portion of this is you bring up crypto. I'm telling the live chat right now, if you have any good leads on the next crypto explosion, throw them my way. Send them our way.
Yeah, exactly. Please do. Tell us whenever you see that dip hit, and we need to get involved, because we can really take this show to the moon. Easy money.
Yeah, I've been seeing dips all over the place, unfortunately. My goodness. And
I need to be in on the good ones that come back.
Yes, I just am in a position just to let them ride right now in the stock market, because it's been a brutal 6 months. So just got to let it ride and hope they
Yep.
come back here, but it's going to take a while. So
Please come back.
all right, folks. Where do we want to go here? This is your show. You guys get to produce the show tonight like no other time.
Yeah, because Jason isn't bringing up Willie Taggart and Mike
talking about
Norvell this
schedules.
week. There is spring coming up. We can probably talk about that. That tour of duties on Tuesday, and then let me make sure that's Tuesday because it's a shorter month. Yep. Well, so we'll be on Tuesday at the IPF for tour of duty, and then on the 5th. Looking forward. Hopefully, I think the schedule is showing that we'll be there for practice. So there's a lot of stuff bumping right now. You've got Jordan Travis coming back as your starting quarterback, but really the question mark is who's QB2. You're looking at a new starting running back with, I'm expecting Trayshawn Ward, but hearing some pretty good things about the guys behind him, including DJ Williams, Toa Philly, and then you've also got Benson coming in and a stud walk-on with CJ Campbell, who we got to see practice last year really well. And then you got the wide receiver room, Mark, which we talked about so many times with the transfers. It felt like every show we were talking about a new transfer coming in at wide receiver. So that is going to be the competition on the offensive side, which we all will be watching during the first couple of weeks of spring and then evaluating afterwards to see who's going to stick on Florida State's roster and who is going to bounce out, because there are going to be a few that want to take their names into the transfer portal. I can only imagine an offensive line. You've got a few transfers that came in, some that will come in and immediately start too, maybe take some previous starters' spots. So there's a lot of stuff that we'll be talking about the next couple of weeks on the offensive side, and even tied into a few question marks behind Cameron McDonald last year. Florida State was luckily to have Jordan Wilson come in and transfer from UCLA, and really I thought played well, came in impressed. He only had 1 year to come in, and as a veteran played just exactly what Florida State wanted from him and more, definitely in the passing attack, which I was shocked in the latter half of the season. The earlier part, no, Cam McDonald did his thing, but he really was a pass attack there at the end of the season. Definitely, we saw it in the Florida game too, where he got gypped off. But the offensive side of the ball has definitely some question marks, and it's going to be interesting to see if some of these true freshmen coming in and transfers are going to impact some of the lineups we saw last year. I think wide receiver will be impacted the most, and offensive line. Those two right now that I can think of. You still got Benson at running back, but those position groups I'm keeping a close eye on for the battles.
Hit me up at MarkRogersTV at Gmail concerning sponsorship. I will let you know what we can do for you here at the Voice of College Football Florida State, or any of the other channels that you might be interested in sponsoring. William is asking about who's going to make an impact this spring.
The biggest impact. So I'm looking at a few guys last season. I try to cheat on this because I get to see the practices now. And so I used to not be able to do this, and I was just making wild guesses and seeing what I would hear and text a few people. But now I get to look back at the latter half of the season and start picking players that I saw. Okay.
Yep.
All right. That's a youngin' that's going to definitely progress and have that big spring. And it's got to be most likely Kevin Knowles. To me, I think he's going to have a big time impact. I know I'm going defense, but on defensive side, Kevin Knowles, I think, is going to make an impact as a true freshman coming in as Zario Thomas. I know there's Sam McCall too, but there's something about Zario Thomas that I really like. And I just think that he's more at this time, more of a college product than maybe Sam McCall is. I still think Sam McCall is extremely gifted and is talented and is going to get PT, but I think Zario Thomas is going to maybe not be an impact player, but he's going to impress us. He's going to be the one that we're talking about here on the show or in the Discord, Twitter. There's going to be a lot of things there. And then Amarion Cooper on the defense too, if I'm staying there. Amarion Cooper, I think, is going to make an impact too. Those two defensive backs really impressed me this last season. on the defensive side as true freshmen coming in, making plays, making interceptions, PBUs, staying in good coverage. I want to see Kevin Knowles a little bit bigger, put on some size too. I think that will help him. But I just see little baby Asante Samuel Jr. and him. I think he's got the good mentals. He's a nerd. He likes football. He's just stays in the film room. Got to talk to him after practices, and I can just get a good feeling. I usually can read some of these guys pretty well, and it just seems like he's obsessed with just being in the film room and wanting to get better and be there for big games, just like Amari Cooper too against Clemson. That group has me really excited. Those two guys as being, I know will be, I think, impact players this spring, and we'll be talking about them a lot.
Knowles, 26 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss in 10 games played last year.
Mm-hmm.
We've got comment coming in here from our guy Gregory. Or it might have been a comment I didn't pull up yet. I'll have to find it there. But it had to do with the kickers. So who's coming back there? Ryan Fitzgerald hit 10 of 13 last year. 77%. Do we know how that's going to sort out, and if there's going to be a battle there?
There won't be much of a battle for the kicker spot. Fitzgerald will hold that spot now, and then now you look at also if you're going, well, I'm looking at it last year, and there was a little bit of inconsistencies, but I think the clear favorite was definitely Fitzgerald, and I thought he cleaned up a few things. And when they needed him, he was able to go in and make those shots. And then Alex Mastramano, the Aussie kicker, I thought would have some big time punts and take the opposing teams down the field. But sometimes there'd be a few inconsistencies, which really impacted the play on the field for the team and then Florida State's defense and put them in a tough spot. So really the biggest thing is inconsistencies. I don't think there's going to be a big time competition there between both sides of punter and kicker and kickoff. So nothing too wild right there. And I believe they've got a PWO coming in as a punter. So unless that's 2023, no, it's 2022. So yeah, that's the fun. That's, it's February when we're talking punters and kickers. We are here, people.
So Logan and I are going to get together on Friday. We're going to get together a couple times here in the next few weeks and run down every position across the board, offense, defense, special teams. So look out for those videos. They'll be posted probably starting early next week. So you can run through everything: quarterbacks, running backs, offensive line, wide receivers, tight ends on the offensive side, all the positions on defense. We're going to get you set up. Those videos have been well received in the past, so we want to deliver those for you once again. We appreciate Logan stepping up and helping me out to break down Florida State on both sides of the ball. So be looking out for those position previews for the spring.
Looking forward to it. It's always fun. I like the spring. Get to see who's going to impress, which youngin, which freshman. There's a lot of good early enrollees. This is a good early enrollee class. So we got to speak to a few of them, the newcomers, transfer and freshmen. And a lot of them felt really good getting to know Coach Storms, Florida State strength and conditioning coach, and liking their body and how they've been developed so far, just a few months in town. So it's going to be it'll be a good spring, and it'll be fun talking and previewing these with you, Mark.
Our guy Johnny Buckets and some others are talking about AJ Duffy, of course, at quarterback. We'll never know what's going through Mike Norvell's mind, but you have to wonder what he would have to see through the spring, but most likely really getting down into August camp, what he would have to see to turn over that quarterback job.
Yeah, I think everybody was wanting him. I saw a few people, he's going to take over. Jordan Travis is going to be it. I'm like, no, I don't. That's not going to be the case. I think Duffy is coming here to learn, which he should, and be behind Jordan Travis. This will be a big spring for Duffy, but not really. The pressure's not on him. It's on Tate Rodemaker to be QB2. And whenever he's been put into situations, there's been inconsistencies. Holton, our new writer, will be putting out our depth chart on Friday, and I think he did a pretty good job of noting, this pressure isn't on Jordan Travis. This isn't on AJ Duffy coming in. This is going to be on Tate Rodemaker. If he can make that next step, he's great at practices. He can make plays. He's most likely the most gifted as a passer right now. Extremely strong arm. He's probably the best in the room at the deep ball and connecting there. But it seems to be when the pressure is on him, it kind of folds. He folds in situations where Norvell wants him to pull up. And that was the same with Jordan Travis too. But Jordan Travis developed and he really saw a big significant increase in his pocket awareness, being able to pull up and do find his routes, make sure he's making his 1, 2, 3s. He did that. And that's what I think Mike Norvell is really looking for him to make that next step. And then Duffy, I think as a young kid who, is definitely gifted and is talented, it's just going to depend on the experience, the more experience. But the best thing is he's an early enrollee and he can learn and get behind this offensive line and get into some of these practices. I think it'll be a wake-up call for some of these young guys and transfers to see how these practices are, because they're not easy. It wears me out while I'm watching them. And I'm like jumping left and right. We're running over this field. No, we're going inside. Oh, we're going back out on the field. Now we're jogging, trying to keep up. So I'm sure it's a little bit different whenever you've got about 35 pounds more of pads and a helmet on you. So we'll see. But I'm not expecting much from the freshman. I just want to see him kind of gel with his teammates, find some chemistry. Maybe, they've been throwing a lot in the IPF, the practice fields, building that chemistry with some of his wide receivers and some of these new transfers. I think that's, the first thing I'm looking at, and just how he's gelling with the team overall and watching and learning behind Jordan Travis is going to be key. So, yeah.
Yeah, of course, AJ Duffy comes in with a blue chip resume here from high school, 11th rated quarterback in the country, 21st rated player in the state, and number 171 overall. So those kind of quarterbacks, those level of players, you obviously expect to be a big impact player and a starter at some point. But hey, this is just year one. Offensive line, quarterbacks, toughest positions to acclimate the first year and hit the ground running. No doubt about that. Rooney, Logan, who are you hearing has been the most impressive so far? So Logan just talked about who he expects to make a big impact this spring. So sounds pretty much along the same lines, but I don't know if you're talking about early enrollees, Rooney, but you can take that in any direction you want.
Yeah, I think Rooney's talking about maybe tour of duty, which has been going on for a few weeks now. I can say we got a little scoopage here. I've heard a few names like Fabian Lovett, Florida State's defensive tackle, who luckily is coming back this next season for Adam Fuller and Odell Higgins on that defensive side of the ball. You've got Caden Lyles, who's transferring, who I think is going to really impact and compete to take over that center spot on offensive line. Micah Pittman, I've heard, has done a great job in tour of duty, along with Jared Verse, who I am personally maybe the most high on going into this spring. And then even Rodney Hill, true freshman, kind of an athlete coming in from high school. He can do everything. He can catch. He's technically a running back. He'll be in that running back room, but he's kind of a hybrid. I think of him almost like a Tua Philly, but it's good to hear Rodney Hill's starting off and pressing early. Amari Gaynor, I've heard, has been really dialed in, a big season for him. And then D-Mac has also been making some strides there during tour of duty. You're hearing a lot of veteran leadership too, which is awesome to hear. Leaders stepping up and impressing. We got to see Tatum Bethune donning a black jersey, which means that they didn't miss a drill, didn't miss a step. The body language looked good. The coaches liked what they saw overall in the drills. They go down and watch film, and then they pick a player for the next tour of duty session. And I ended up being Tatum Bethune, along with Steven Dix Jr., who we know is a linebacker, who didn't get to see a lot of him last year because Lundy kind of jumped in and took the role. But it seems like Steven Dix Jr. is on on the climb, I should say, as Mike Norvell calls it. And then also Keyshawn Helton, along with Geno English, I've heard have also received black jerseys. So that's kind of, there's some decent scoopage there. It's hard to get scoop with these, Mark, because that's one thing Mike Norvell keeps really sealed up is tour duty. We've only been able to visit. This will be our first one being able to go visit a tour duty actually happen, and then they wrap it up. So Mike Norvell likes to keep kind of interviews, not a lot of interviews going on from what I seems like. We haven't been able to talk to players in a while. He kind of just uses this time to allow the newcomers, the transfers, to acclimate, and then he wants his veterans, these guys that are coming into year 2, year 3, year 4, to be dialed. So I respect it.
Good stuff. Each and every week, Logan Robinson, Noel Game Day. We typically have Jason Parker, NBC 6. Maybe someday we'll get to see Big Game James Coleman check in like he did a couple weeks ago. You never know. James is the wild card for sure.
I know. We need to get my guy Freddie Stevenson in here one day too. He's always former Noel 2013 national champion. I need to get him in here. Maybe he'll represent some of the fullbacks. We'll just get a whole handful of fullbacks in here. Fullbacks, I feel like, are some of the most entertaining people to talk to, Mark, just because they're physical. They like hitting. They don't really usually like the opponents because, like I just said, they're usually going right at them and running their ass over. So
they're a dying breed.
Yeah, they are.
They're a dying breed. But fullbacks, you don't mess with fullbacks because basically they may see one carry a game, maybe, and then the rest of the time, man, it's nothing but battering ram, popping a linebacker. Yeah, it's you gotta love to hit if you're gonna be a fullback.
Yeah, no, you're gonna have to hit. There's a lot of stuff now. Now the stuff is coming in. Now it seems like the YouTube crew is bringing in the comments. Took a little while.
For sure. Got 72 on the line. So many of you have missed what we've discussed so far. So once the video's over, once we finish up here, keep in mind that the video posts, so catch what you missed. Johnny, they should move Travis J to linebacker or wide receiver.
Yeah, I know people kind of want to see him move around. I don't see where right now, maybe a little bit too late, maybe to stack another 20 pounds on Jay heading into the fall at linebacker. What makes sense more to me, I mean, maybe wide receiver, but I don't see him going over there on the offensive side. I think the staff has said that numerous times that they want to keep Jay over there, and probably the biggest for a top 5. He's in the top 5 for biggest springs a player needs to turn things around, because the inconsistent play last year in coverage was brutal for him and put him on the bench. Was not starting for numerous games just because of inconsistencies and other quarterbacks and for opponent offensive coordinators just going at him, man, almost bullying him. So this is a big time spring for Travis J and turning things around, and we want him to do his thing just because of how big he was coming in from high school, from Madison County, and how gifted he is. That's the thing. He's most likely competes to be one of the most athletic guys on the field. It just, man, technique and making sure that he's in the right coverage has been his downfall. So hopefully things will turn around for Jay heading into this spring. And, you gotta keep an eye out for him, number 18. That's a bold statement here, Mark, from Mr. January Man.
What do we got?
Versus going to be better than Jermaine Johnson.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we had him on our show. I think that he's definitely bringing a more of a veteran mindset, just kind of like how Jermaine Johnson is. And Norvell does a great job of making sure he's evaluating not only on the field, but these players coming in as people and the personalities that he's bringing into his locker room. Jared Verse is fitting very well into Florida State in the program so far, from what I've heard. And like I had just mentioned, He has been one of the highlighting players from some of the scoop I've received. But you would hope that Jermaine or Jared Verse could have just a half of what Jermaine Johnson. If he has that season's going to be still great for Verse. This is still a young player coming in. It's not like Jermaine Johnson, where this was his final year. Jared Verse still has some time too, a couple of seasons potentially at Florida State. So Jared Verse a little bit lighter. I think he's extremely fast off the ball, but I'm interested to see with the talent that he'll be facing in the ACC if that plays a difference. But I still think he is expected to be a starter day one on week 0.
I am scanning the channel looking for comments. So we've got a ton of comments that come into these videos, but I'm looking for one to take to Logan here. The funniest one I've come across is Geomatic says, Jason is an average sportscaster. I don't even know what that means.
Oh my gosh, geez. And he's not even on here to back himself up. That would have been a funny response from Jason. He would have found something funny to say.
Absolutely.
I wish he was here for that. We'll bring that up next week.
And our guy, Mike Myrick, is all over these comments and always says some good stuff. Always supportive. Let's see if I can find Mike in here. I lost him. Anyway, he's all.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. He's supportive. And I think, there's a lot of comments now about Verse and Jermaine Johnson. Jared Verse, I think some people aren't talking about him enough. I mean, there's not really much going on, but not like everybody needs to be talking about every day. But Jared Verse, I think, is going to be a problem, Mark. I think he's going to be a problem. And maybe the biggest question mark, too, from the defensive side, when we talk about more of that next week, is who's going to fulfill the role on the other side. Is it going to be Dennis Briggs, who had a season-ending injury last year? Is it going to be a Derek McLendon, who I'm high on? Is it going to be Sean Fuller, who we got to see whenever he went into the games last year, impressed, took advantage of his time, and made plays, a lot of tackle for losses, I think had back-to-back tackle for losses, and a game that I'm not going to remember which opponent it was, but I do know what happened. But Jared Verse is going to be fun to watch, and there's a lot. That's why the spring is going to be huge for a lot of these guys. And I think Verse and Norvell just fit each other perfectly. And the work ethic that both have. And from when we got to interview Jared Verse and, understand, what he does on a daily basis to train and what his immediate thing he wanted to do was get to Tallahassee. Once he got to Tallahassee and the couple of days beforehand, he said, I want to get into the practice field, IPF. I've got to work on my get off. He says, his get off is quick as heck, but he still thinks that can be better. And there's a lot of things too that I think he can develop here in Tallahassee, just like Jermaine Johnson did. Some things that he cleaned up, and really Jermaine, since that was his last year, he got to become a leader, and that's going to play a huge role into him becoming a first rounder. He will be a first rounder just because I think what he did on the field, but also turn into a leader. And some of those scouts talking with Florida State staff, I'm sure they've been able to give some good word about Jermaine and how he was helping some of the younger players on the team last year as being a transfer. You would have thought he was here for 3 or 4 years, man. He's going to be talked about. He's going to be talked about like this, like he was here for 3 or 4 years.
Got a few people responding here. I'm just going to read these because they sound good, because I don't know exactly what they're talking about. But Irv Wallace says, I agree with Mark Rogers, 100% facts. And then John Culver says, this must be about the quarterback situation. So somebody's backing me up on bringing in a transfer quarterback. And you may have seen this week, Logan, that Jaden Daniels, the Arizona State quarterback, has hit the transfer portal. So John Culver is saying Mark Rogers, 100% right. Jaden Daniels would fit right in, and you would not have to change the offense at all.
Yeah, no, we talked about Jaden Daniels on our show last week. This one's going to really depend on a starting spot for him. I think that I wish the time was right for where he would come, and this would definitely fit into Florida State's offense this upcoming season. I just don't see, unless he's coming in to be a starter somewhere. I mean, it could be even Texas A&M under Jimbo. There's a few spots where I think Daniels can land, but I don't see it at Florida State right now. That was my immediate thought. I even put an article out immediately just because that's your top dual threat guy in the portal now. So I think Florida State still after the spring will go after a quarterback. And definitely once they see what they've got with Duffy along with Rodemaker this spring, they're going to look at a quarterback after spring. So there might be some more. There's going to be more options there after the spring too, once some other players of different programs find out where they are on the depth chart. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to see a flood hit the transfer portal right after spring practice. It's exactly what we saw last year. Guys get to size up where they stand, and if they don't like the setup in terms of the depth chart, then they're going to hit the transfer portal. That's all there is to it. So look out for that in about a month to 6 weeks, something in that range.
Yeah. And Scott, I don't see where saying here, if we get a starting quarterback after the spring in the portal, I'd like to see Jordan Travis use an athlete in space. Not going to happen. Jordan Travis has solidified himself as a quarterback, is definitely, I think, has developed into being the starting quarterback, definitely this upcoming season. Unless it's a Caleb Williams or some of that nature comes in, I just don't think that would happen. Jordan Travis is extremely talented with the dual threat of capabilities that he has, and I just messes up a lot of things. But Jordan Travis is, why not just let him use that, but be a quarterback and then continue to be better like we saw last season as a passer. So, yeah.
D-Rock Irish, his question is, the number one item that needs to return to Florida State to be a contender.
The number one thing that needs to return as an actual item. An item that needs to return the Spirit Spear at Doak Campbell Stadium. If something were to return, I would like to see it to where the louder Doak got the Spirit Spear in the north end zone or south, wherever you can find a place to put it. Whenever it's, nighttime, let's say Clemson at home, which it will be this upcoming season, we get to see the Spirit come back, and the louder it gets, the thing lights up, and we get to the top, and it's just Doak is just rocking, going wild and crazy. Beers flying everywhere, throwing up everywhere. Just how a wonderful Saturday game day should go. You should smell like dog crap leaving a football game. I want the Spirit Spear back. I think people would agree with me in the comments, hopefully. And I'm young. I'm a youngin', but I know about the Spirit Spear. I think it should come back.
Was there a reason that it went away?
I think just renovations and things changing. I think Florida State, I'm not entirely sure what year they took it away. It had to be around the time Bobby Bowden was coaching still, and I'm surprised. I might be completely wrong. Like I said, my excuse is that I'm young and dumb, so might be completely off on the years, but I think Bobby Bowden was coaching in that stadium when they had the Spirit Spear, and I'm surprised he let it go. But the Spirit Spear needs to make a comeback.
Johnny's going with some old jerseys.
Yeah, the 2013. I mean, there's a lot of good old throwback FSU jerseys, but the 2013 ones I think would just be fine for FSU fans. And got to bring back the gold, the actual gold shiny pants. That might be the biggest thing for me. Bring those back, and we're heading in the right direction. The gold shiny, got the old FSU logo on the hip. The FSU fans know what I'm talking about in the comments. Bring those real gold shiny.
I know what you're talking about.
Not that tan. Yeah. I mean, it's close to your helmet back here. That FSU helmet is the right tone of gold that I think it should be. Now it's like tan. Yeah, see, that's a gold shiny. That's a shiny gold. That's how those pants should look. But now they're like a tan sand looking pant. And that was whenever 2014 when Florida State did its stuff with Nike, made those changes.
All right, folks, appreciate you being here. What you need to do, Florida State fans, is head on over to Patreon and sign up for No Game Day Discord. You can talk Florida State football and all athletics, right? You can talk hoops, baseball team, whatever you want to talk about. I've looked in there and there's a zillion channels. Like if you got a specific thing that you want to jump in on, you can go to it. Recruiting, baseball, football, on and on and on. Specific guys that they're targeting, all sorts of channels popping up constantly over there. I see some other folks there in the live chat that are obviously not Florida State fans. See Oregon fans, Notre Dame fans, Florida fans in particular. So we've got a Discord at the Voice of College Football. So head on over if you are not a Florida State fan. If you want to talk up all these other teams, we've got a Discord that we just fired up yesterday, just launched.
Is it in the description, Mark?
Head on over to Patreon. What's that?
Is it in the description down below?
Probably not on this. No.
This one. I'll click it on your on one of in your bio or something somewhere.
Yeah, we got to get that out there. We're only a day old on Discord, so we got to get those links out there.
Things are going crazy. Things are getting wild. We are officially in the off season now, so we've got Mark able to make a Discord. Wilmer. I think Wilmer might be a little newer, but I got called Jason just now.
Yeah, I was gonna let that go. I saw that.
You gotta let it slide.
Let it slide. Take Wilmer off the hook.
Wilmer, we're not mad at you at all. And if you do want to call me Jason, that's fine. But I'm going to tell Jason that next week and say that now I've just taken over your name too, since you've missed all these episodes. So I'm Logan and Jason in one.
Shark Bite, appreciate you being here. Logan makes this thing go. So we've got a Florida State show that we've been doing for 146 freaking weeks in a row. Look at God. That. 146. We're working on 3 years here straight. And Logan's missed like 4 or 5 shows. So he makes it happen here. He holds it down. So
we're getting to that point, Mark, where we're 3 years now in this relationship. We're going to have to go to counseling like once a month or something.
Yeah. Oh man. I've been through that. We won't go there.
It takes a little bit more, huh?
Oh man, that's a grind. Yeah. That is a grind.
The lucky part is we only spend an hour a week together, so we're able to put up with one another.
That's all that you folks are going to get into my past and behind the privacy curtain. Yes, I've had women drag me to counseling before. Yeah.
That's a good story time. That should just definitely be where we're in Bear like June. We just come up and talk about personal counseling times. That seems like they'll really get the clicks going.
All right,
Wilmer.
Folks.
He said he's sorry. Wilmer said he's sorry. He said, "Where is the redheaded prophet?"
The redheaded prophet.
The wizard.
We could start calling Jason that. That's a good one. I like that.
The redheaded prophet. God, I can't have so many things to tell Jason next week now. This is incredible.
Jay Jackson, we'll catch up with this one some other time. We're here to talk Florida State football, so we're wrapping up here on FSU. But compare and contrast these fan bases. Okay, we'll get to that one some other time. Jay Jackson, hit me up on the main channel. And before we head on out, Wilmer.
Wow. What the sorry bomb.
Wilmer has set the standard that if there are any typos or miscommunications or misidentifications in the live chat, you got to hit us with a 20.
So, yeah, that's the thing, guys. If you call us the wrong name or something, pay up.
We appreciate it, Wilmer. Thanks for being here, man. Florida State Talk every Wednesday night here at the Voice of College Football. Bring some folks with you. Do that for us. Bring 3 or 4 people with you that love college football. And as you can see in the live chat, you don't have to be a Florida State fan. Every Wednesday, 6 Eastern. And Logan's next show is when?
Tomorrow at 8:30. Tomorrow at 8:30.
Bam. There you get it.
Offense.
Thursday, 8:30 with Logan, and be looking out for our offensive breakdown videos that are coming here the next week or so. All right, man, Logan, you make it happen for us, so I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, Mark. Enjoy the Miami show for the next hour. Best of luck.